It's called Omicron, and it's a new variant of coronavirus. It's come out of Southern Africa, and there have been travel restrictions imposed as a result. I'm Neil, and this is BBC News Review from BBC Learning English. Joining me is Roy. Hi, Roy.
Hello, Neil, and hello, everybody. If you would like to test yourself on vocabulary around this program, all you need to do is head to our website, bbclearningenglish.com, to take a quiz. But now let's hear more about this story from this BBC News report.
The United States and Australia have joined the growing number of countries banning travel from much of southern Africa to try to slow the spread of a new COVID variant. The World Health Organization has classified Omicron as a variant of concern because of early indications that it carries a high risk of reinfection. President Biden said the US had to be vigilant.
Okay, so several countries have moved to restrict travel with southern Africa, and this is after a new variant of COVID-19 was discovered. That variant has been called Omicron, and the World Health Organization have said that it is a variant of concern due to the high chances of reinfection.
You've been looking at this story, Roy, the various headlines on the internet, and you've picked out 3 really useful words and expressions that you can use in your everyday English. What have you got?
We have clamp down, double down, and blessing in disguise.
Clamp down, double down, and blessing in disguise. Okay, let's hear your first headline, please, Roy.
Okay, so our first headline comes from Al Jazeera, and it reads, European countries clamp down on Omicron variant.
Clamp down. Act officially to prevent something from happening.
Mất gốc thần tốc, chinh phục 7.0 IELTS với học phí chỉ từ 89.000 đồng một giờ. Bạn có dám tin?
This is a phrasal verb. The first part of the phrasal verb is spelled C-L-A-M-P. Second word, down, D-O-W-N. And it means to act officially or take official actions to prevent something from happening.
Okay, well, we'll break this word up here, Roy. And we see in the first part, we have clamp. Now, I know what a clamp is. It's a device which prevents something from moving. So, for example, have you ever parked your car in an illegal space?
I haven't. I always try to park in the same places. But once my friend parked illegally and his car was clamped and he was furious. But to be fair, it was his fault. He parked in the wrong place.
Yeah, okay, so you use the word there, clamped. The car was clamped. That means a device called a clamp was put on the wheel to prevent the driver from moving it until they've paid a fine. So there's that sense there of preventing something from happening.
Absolutely. And if we carry that over into the meaning that's used in the headline, clamp down on something, if we think about that restriction, that strong force to stop something, we clamp down on something. It's basically when we take an official action to prevent something from happening. Commonly, we use it to talk about the government. The government is clamping down on something, or a business is clamping down on malpractice in the workplace.
Yeah. Now that word down, the second part of the word clamp down, is important here, isn't it? And we've seen it in, for example, lockdown as well. And it's going to be featured later in this program as well. It gives a sense of there being an extra effort, doesn't there?
Absolutely. An extra effort or pressure put on something.
In this headline, clamp down as 2 words is a verb. It also exists as 1 word as a noun, a clamp down.
Absolutely. So the government can clamp down on something, or there can be a clamp down on something.
Okay, let's get a summary. If you'd like to hear another expression with the word down, we have the perfect video for you, don't we, Roy?
Yes, we do. This is an episode of News Review, and all you need to do is click the link in the description.
Okay, let's have a look at your next headline.
So our next headline comes from CNBC, and it reads, China could double down on its zero COVID approach amid concerns about Omicron, analysts say.
Double down. Do something in a stronger way than before.
Yes, so this is another phrasal verb. First word, double, D-O-U-B-L-E. Second word, down, D-O-W-N. And it is commonly followed by the preposition on, double down on something. And it means to take a stronger approach or stance on something than before.
Yeah, okay. So let's break it up here. We've got the first word, double. Now, double means do something twice as much.
Yeah, 2 times, to double something. Now, interestingly, this expression, and down, obviously, as we talked about before, is that idea of effort. So it's like doubling your effort. Now, commonly we hear this expression double down related to a card game called blackjack. And it basically means where somebody doubles their bet. Now, I'm not a big gambler, but that is the most people assume is the origin of this phrase. But in normal life, we talk about increasing one's effort or taking a stronger stance on something. So somebody may double down on their opinion, or some government may double down on their stance.
Yeah, okay. Interestingly, this is a verb here, double down. We had clamp down, which could exist as a noun, a clamp down. That's not the case here. We don't have a double down, do we?
No. And also we need to say it's not literal. It's not about twice the amount of effort. We just mean increasing your effort, like doubling down on something.
Yeah. Okay, let's double down on our effort to teach people English, Roy, and give a summary. We have, of course, talked about travel restrictions before during this pandemic. If you want some more language connected to it, you can watch a video. Where is it, Roy?
All you need to do is click the link in the description.
Okay, let's have a look at your next headline.
Okay, so our next headline comes from City AM, and it reads, Blessing in disguise. Omicron variant may be very positive news for the world if new COVID mutation kills off more lethal Delta coronavirus.
Blessing in disguise. Something which at first looks bad, but in the end is good.
Yes, so this is a multi-word expression, and the first word is blessing, B-L-E-S-S-I-N-G. Second word, in, I-N. Third word, disguise, D-I-S-G-U-I-S-E. Now, listen to the pronunciation of that word, disguise. It looks like disquisier, doesn't it? But it's disguise.
Yes, disguise, not disquisier, yes.
And what this expression means, basically, is that something that at first looks negative actually turns out to be good.
Okay, right. Well, let's break it up then. A blessing. This is something I've heard in a sort of religious context, Roy.
Yeah, it's the idea that something amazing that we should be thankful for, but we use it outside of the connections of religion as well. So, for example, you could say that somebody's intelligence is a blessing. It's something very positive that they should be thankful for.
Yeah, and we also say that they are blessed with intelligence.
Yes, we do. Now, moving on to that second word, disguise. Now, what this basically relates to is being hidden. So, for example, if I go to a party or an event and I don't want somebody to recognize me, I could wear a disguise. Maybe some glasses, a fake beard, not that I need one, a scarf, I'm not sure, so that people don't recognize me.
Exactly, yes. I mean, we hear this word when incredibly famous people like, Paul McCartney or Rob have to go out and they don't want people to recognize them.
Absolutely. Rob has to completely hide himself so that he can't even leave his house without the paparazzi in front taking photos, can he? So he has to wear all these disguises.
Yeah. And talking about a blessing in disguise, you've got a great example with Rob.
Oh, I do. Oh, Rob. Rob he's always eating all of the biscuits. Like the other week, I took in some biscuits. I took in a plate of biscuits for everybody to eat. And he ate them all. He consumed all of them. Now, at first, I was a little bit upset because it was quite a negative thing. I had these biscuits and then I realized he'd just eaten them all. But then I started to think, well, I'm on a diet. So actually, maybe it's quite a good thing. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise for my diet.
Absolutely. And although it sounds like we're being silly, this can be used for both trivial things like the example we've just given and also serious ones.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's get a summary. Time now, Roy, for a recap of the vocabulary, please.
Yes, we had clamp down, act officially to prevent something from happening. We had double down, do something in a stronger way than before. And we had blessing in disguise, something which at first looks bad, but in the end is good.
Do not forget to test yourself on this vocabulary. There's a quiz on our website, bbclearningenglish.com, and we are also all over social media. Thanks for joining us. Take care. See you again. Goodbye.
Bye.
Tennis star Novak Djokovic has won his appeal to stay in Australia so he can defend his Australian Open title. Hello, I'm Rob and welcome to News Review from BBC Learning English. Joining me today is Roy. Hello, Roy.
Hello, Rob, and hello, everybody. If you would like to test yourself on the vocabulary around this story, all you need to do is head to our website, bbclearningenglish.com, to take a quiz. But now let's hear more about this story from this BBC News report.
The tennis world number one Novak Djokovic has won his appeal against a decision to refuse him a visa to enter Australia. A judge in Melbourne ruled he must be immediately released from immigration detention. But the Australian government has told the court it could still exercise its power to cancel the visa. Djokovic arrived at Melbourne Airport last week to defend his title at the Australian Open, which begins next Monday. He'd been given an exemption from COVID vaccination rules after recovering from the virus last month.
So, Novak Djokovic has won an appeal against the cancellation of his visa and can now stay in Australia and compete in the Australian Open. Djokovic, who arrived in Australia recently, believed that he was permitted to enter the country after recently recovering from the COVID virus and as a result was exempt from the COVID virus rules. The Australian government has said it could still cancel the visa.
And we've got 3 words and expressions we can learn about to help us talk about this story, haven't we? What are they, Roy?
Yes, we have. We have quashes, handed reprieve, and clearing path.
That's quashes, handed reprieve, and clearing path. Okay, let's take that first word, which appears in which headline, please?
Well, the first headline is from The Guardian, and it reads, Novak Djokovic released from immigration detention after Australian court quashes visa cancellation.
So that's quashes. Rejects something officially.
Yes, so quashes is a verb and it's spelled Q-U-A-S-H-E-S. And it means to reject something officially. It's often used in a court of law. And we quite commonly hear it when it says that when a decision that was previously made, somebody has said that that decision is no longer accepted. So they quash a previous decision.
Okay, so it's no longer accepted. So this is interesting. In the case of this headline, we're saying that the judge says that the decision to cancel his visa was no longer accepted, yeah?
That's right, yeah. So, and we have other things. For example, if a person receives a conviction or they go to prison and then later on, somebody decides a judge decides that punishment, that conviction is no longer valid, it's not accepted, they would quash that person's sentence.
Okay, and it's a strange word, quashes. I mean, it reminds me of the word squashes. When you squeeze something, you suppress something, when you squash something. Is there any kind of connection here?
Well, it's interesting that you say that because quash has a secondary meaning. And the secondary meaning of quash is basically to suppress something or stop something from happening. So, for example, if there's a rumor that you think is incorrect, you could quash that rumor. It means to suppress or prevent it from happening.
And another example, I guess, where there are protests in some countries, the authorities want to quash the protest, don't they? Want to suppress or stop that protest.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, let's have a summary of that word, please. We've talked about Novak Djokovic before here on News Review when he hit a ball at someone, didn't he, Roy?
Yes, and all you need to do to learn more about that story is click the link in the description below.
Yep, just down below there. Thanks, Roy. Okay, let's look at your next news headline, please.
So our next news headline comes from the website Tennis365, and it reads, Novak Djokovic handed reprieve as he is allowed to leave detention facility.
So that's handed reprieve, given cancellation of a punishment.
Right, so this is a two-word expression. First word, handed, H-A-N-D-E-D. Second word, reprieve, R-E-P-R-I-E-V-E. Now, handed means to be given something. So it's quite often used officially, you're handed something. And reprieve is the cancellation or the postponement of a punishment. Now, this headline relates to the fact that during the hearing, Novak Djokovic was allowed to leave the hotel where he was staying.
Okay. You've used the word handed there. I mean, I know what a hand is. Look, there's a hand. Very useful. They come in handy. What's that got to do with this headline?
Well, quite literally, handed means to pass something from one hand to another. It's a verb. So, for example, if we're in the office together and I say, oh, I need a pen. Oh, Rob, could you hand me that pen, please? I mean, can you give me that pen? Sometimes it's used more figuratively. For example, in a court of law where they are given something. So you could be, for example, handed a reprieve in this sense, given a reprieve.
Yeah, so he was given a reprieve. So that means to end his punishment. Yeah, is that right?
That's absolutely right. That's what reprieve means, to cancel or postpone some kind of punishment. So in this case, he was staying in a detention center and he was given a reprieve.
Okay. And there's a kind of another meaning really to this expression as well, isn't there?
There is. It can mean sort of a welcome or a good kind of delay to something, a reprieve. So, for example, maybe a company is having financial problems and they risk going bust, going bankrupt. But at the last minute, they are given an emergency loan. We could say maybe they are given a reprieve from going bust.
Great, interesting stuff. Let's have a summary of that expression. Well, we were just talking about hands and how important they are when you hand something to someone. So it's important, therefore, to wash your hands. And we made a program all about the importance of hand washing, didn't we, Roy?
Yes, we did. And all you need to do to watch that program is click the link in the description below.
Yeah, down below. Great. Okay, let's have a look at our next headline, please.
Okay, so our next headline comes from the Washington Post, and it reads, Novak Djokovic wins case against Australia over cancelled visa, clearing path for him to play in Melbourne.
So that's clearing path, allowing something to happen or proceed.
Yes, so another two-word expression. The first word is clearing, C-L-E-A-R-I-N-G. Second word, path, P-A-T-H. Now, clearing here is being used as a verb, and it means to remove things or obstacles. And path is talking about the way forward. So what it's actually saying is you are removing obstacles from the way ahead.
Okay, I know all about clearing paths. Where I live, I have a path in my front garden that leads from the road to the house. And I have to clear that sometimes because, particularly like, for example, when it snows, I clear the path from all the snow so that I have a clear passageway into my house, yeah?
Yes, and that's a very literal usage of the word path. It is something that we walk on, but we also use it more figuratively to mean the way forward, the way ahead, you know. But for example, in the headline, when we're talking about clearing the path, you're talking about opening up the opportunity, opening an opportunity.
And clear can mean obvious and it's easy to see. Is that right?
Yeah, so as I said, clear in the headline is a verb, but we can also use it as an adjective. So you can say that something is obvious. So if we talk about a clear path, using that word path again, maybe you have a clear career path. You have an obvious career path. So you know exactly what you want to do in life and where you want to go throughout your career. A clear career path means obvious.
Well, thank you, Roy. You've made that very clear. So let's have a summary of that expression. Well, now it's time to recap the vocabulary that we've been talking about today.
Yes, we had quashes, rejects something officially. We had handed reprieve, given cancellation of a punishment. And we had clearing path, allowing something to happen or proceed.
Thank you, Roy. Now, if you want to test your understanding of these words and expressions, we have a quiz on our website at bbclearningenglish.com. That's the place to go for all our learning English resources. And don't forget, we're all over social media as well. That's all for today's news review. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There are reports of major damage in the Pacific island of Tonga after a huge volcanic eruption and widespread tsunami. This is BBC News Review from BBC Learning English. I'm Rob, and joining me to talk about this story is Roy. Hello, Roy.
Hello, Rob, and hello, everybody. If you would like to test yourself on the vocabulary around this story, all you need to do is head to our website, bbclearningenglish.com, to take a quiz. But now let's hear more about this story from this BBC News report.
New Zealand has sent an Air Force plane to the island nation of Tonga to make an initial assessment of the damage caused by Saturday's massive volcanic eruption and tsunami. Communications there are mostly down. The International Red Cross says it fears large-scale devastation and is preparing relief operations for people who may now lack drinking water or shelter. The aid agency Save the Children is also trying to provide assistance.
So, a massive volcanic eruption and tsunami hit Tonga, an island nation in the Pacific Ocean. At the moment, due to this event, it has been difficult to get news from Tonga. New Zealand have sent a plane to look at the level of damage, and aid agencies and charities are planning to try and help for fear that the number of people are without shelter and water.
And we have 3 words and expressions from the news headlines to help us talk about this story. What are they, please, Roy?
Yes, we do. We have cut off, step up, and go dark.
That's cut off, step up, and go dark. Okay, could we have a look at the first news headline, please, Roy?
Okay, so our first news headline is from The Independent, and it reads, Tsunami threat recedes and casualty reports are yet to come in as Tonga remains cut off.
That's cut off, isolated, unable to be contacted.
Yes, so cut off is usually seen as a phrasal verb, which is separable. First word cut, C-U-T, second word off, O-double-F. And as I said, it's separable, so you can cut somebody or something off, or you can cut off something or somebody. And it means to be out of contact or to stop contact.
Okay, now I'm familiar with those 2 words. We know what a cut is. That's something you can do with scissors, like cut your hair. And off, of course, is the opposite of on. So it's to stop something, you turn it off.
Yeah. So, for example, cut is about severing a communication or severing contact, if you like. And in the sense of cut off, what it means in the headline is that all communications have been stopped for a period of time.
Now, we also use cut off when we're talking about utilities like electricity or water. They get cut off sometimes, don't they?
Yes, they do. If you don't pay a bill for your internet, the provider may decide to cut you off, to stop your supply.
Getting back to the kind of natural environment, we can use the expression cut off when maybe a village gets cut off because the road is blocked with snow, or if there's a storm, an island might get cut off. There's no way of getting the ships in because the sea is rough. That's when we can say somewhere is cut off. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, in that sense, it's more about sort of a lack of access, or again, it's that idea of communication, being able to contact somebody. But a village in that sense, cut off by the snow, means that there's no way to get to the village or for people to leave. It's cut off, isolated from the outside world. Now, there is also another interesting way to use cut off. It's when somebody is speaking and they're trying to say something like, for example, tell a story, and the other person stops them from speaking.
Oh, yeah. Can I just cut you off there, please, Roy?
Well, you did, didn't you?
I don't want to hear one of your stories again, okay?
But
So
it's about my dog.
I'm going to cut you off there.
Great example. So you stopped me from speaking. You ended my communication again, if you like.
Yeah, I'm going to cut you off again, and let's have a summary of that expression.
Very good.
Getting a band 7, 8 or even 9 in IELTS writing is actually very simple, but only if you follow this.
We've talked quite a bit about coronavirus here on News Review. Now, one of the strains that developed last year meant that the UK was cut off. There's that expression again, cut off, because we weren't allowed to travel. So how can we watch that video again, please, Roy?
All you need to do is click the link in the description below.
Just down below. Thank you. Right, it's time now to look at our next news headline, please.
Okay, so the next news headline comes from the Taiwan News, and it reads, Australia, New Zealand step up efforts to aid tsunami hit Tonga.
So that's step up, increase intensity of something.
Okay, so it's another phrasal verb, step up. First word step, S-T-E-P. Second word up. And it means to increase the intensity of something. For example, step up efforts. Quite commonly we say step up my effort or step up our efforts.
Okay, and also another example, I guess, when a situation becomes dangerous, we might step up the security.
Yeah, that's correct. So, for example, maybe there's a bomb threat and people are worried, so they decide to increase the number of security guards. They step up security.
Okay. Now, my boss said the other day that I should step up and take control. I mean, what does he mean by that?
Well, this is another meaning of the word step up. And it basically means to assume responsibility or to take responsibility. So, for example, he was telling you to take responsibility for the situation.
Okay, message understood. And finally, you can have a step up or a big step up in your career as well.
Yeah, great example. So, for example, maybe you're a worker, just a sort of mid-level worker, middle management, I don't know. And suddenly you get promoted several levels to become the CEO of the company. It's a big step up in your career. The step up in that sense is hyphenated and it's a noun. So the hyphen comes step hyphen up.
Great. Thanks for that explanation of step up. Let's have a summary. We've made a programme about the active and passive voice. So Roy, tell us how we can watch it.
Well, all you need to do is click the link in the description below.
Just down below. Great. Let's have a look now at your next news headline, please.
Yes. Okay. So our next headline comes from 9 News Australia and it reads, Cluster of eruptions expected. Tonga communications go dark following tsunami.
That's go dark, stop communications, especially for a long period of time.
Yes, so this is a two-word expression. First word go, G-O. Second word dark, D-A-R-K. And it means to be out of communications or to stop communication.
Okay, and I've heard this expression used quite a bit in spy movies when, spies go dark.
Yeah, great example. So, for example, maybe a spy or a secret agent is on a secret mission, and we say that they are undercover, where they are on this secret mission pretending to be somebody different. And then suddenly they are worried that somebody has discovered that they are a spy. So they decide to go dark, which means they stop communications. Effectively, they disappear.
Yeah, just to clarify, they're not going dark by turning the lights off.
No. And an interesting expression there is when we talk about their secret identity being discovered, we say that they have a cover identity, and then we say their cover has been blown. To blow somebody's cover, which means to reveal them. And that is a reason that they disappear, they stop communicating, they go dark.
But we're not talking about spies here, are we? We're getting back to this news story here.
No, we're not. So, for example, in the case of the headline, when we're talking about Tonga going dark, it basically means because of this situation, their communications have gone down. It means that they're no longer able to communicate. Now, another way that we maybe use go dark is, for example, a celebrity on social media. If they stop using social media for a while, we could say that the celebrity has gone dark. Or in terms of a company, if they cease or stop activities or again communication, we may say that that company has gone dark. But it's more commonly used to talk about general communication.
Great. Yeah, and of course, at the end of the day, when the sun sets, it goes dark, doesn't it?
It does. No more daylight. At the end of the day, suddenly the world goes dark.
Okay, let's have a summary of that expression. It's time now to have a recap of the expressions we've talked about today. Could you tell us what they are, please, Roy?
Yes, we had cut off, isolated, unable to be contacted. We had step up, increase intensity of something. And we had go dark, stop communications, especially for a long time.
And don't forget, you can test yourself on this vocabulary by going to our website where there's a quiz. And of course, our website is the place to go to for lots of learning English resources. The address is bbclearningenglish.com. And don't forget, you can check us out on social media as well. Well, that's all for today's news review. Thank you for watching and see you next time.